Introduction and Instructions for Can You Survive 17th Century England. This is a cooperative game for 2 to 4 players. Several groups can play at the same time as long as each group has their own materials. This game is short as it does not require any significant decisions and the mechanics are very simple. It is therefore useful as a game that introduces basic mechanics and the idea of using games to learn. It can be used to help students better understand the difficulties of life during this time period and to compare it with the revolutionary changes that would occur after. Each group oversees the fate of the Davies family, living in 17th century England. This was a particularly difficult time as accidents and illness were common, medical treatment and nutrition were poor, and there was a significant amount of violence. To play, each group needs family cards, a deck of event cards. One will be drawn each turn. The game ends after between 8 and 10 turns as determined by the instructor. A 20-sided die, an instruction sheet. It's also good to have some place for the students to roll all the dice. Instructors should have baby cards to hand out to students as Margaret can give birth to more children. Students can name their babies. Be sure to get them back after the game, otherwise students may just add them to the family decks. Can you survive 17th century England? Students oversee their family as a group. They do not play individual family members. Each card supplies basic information about the family member. Each family member has a number of white boxes that represents their health. Each time a family member loses health, mark off a box. Once all the boxes are marked, the family member dies. Students can mark the boxes using pencils, which you may need to supply, or you can put them in a plastic card sleeve and students can use dry erase markers. More on event cards. Most event cards are simple and just involve adding or subtracting health. If a family member has full health, no box is marked. They cannot gain extra health from a card. Some cards are more complex. For instance, some involve rolling a die and then adding the number of unchecked health boxes and then checking it against the chart. For instance, Margaret starts with 5 health. If she hasn't lost any health and rolled an 8 on the 20-sided die, she would have a total of 13, which would mean that the child lives and she loses 1 health. However, if Margaret had lost a health, she would only add 4 to 8, giving her a total of 12, meaning she would lose 2 health and the child would die. Questions for reflection. What happened to your family? What determined your family's fate? For instance, if many died, what killed them? Who survived? How might the deaths of the family members impact them? What sort of life would they have in the future based on what happened to them in the game? This game is helpful at setting up lessons on the scientific and industrial revolutions and how they transformed how people lived. The following introduction might be helpful. Generally, people before 1600 did not get enough food to eat, had relatively little clothing, lived in housing that provided little protection from the elements or privacy, did not travel far from home or faster than a person on foot or horse can go, would have limited access to information, would have a good chance of dying early from an accident, disease, or war, would have lost siblings or children while young, had a few political rights, had a place in society largely determined by circumstances of birth. So how did it happen that people today generally have access to more types of food, and in most places do not need to fear starvation? When they do not have enough food, it is typically an issue of distribution and not supply. Have comparatively more clothes, have climate control and their own room or rooms, have access to travel by car, train, or plane, have easy access to information, rarely die early from accident, disease, or war, regard the death of young people as a rare tragedy, enjoy a significant amount of political rights, and have a greater ability to determine their place in society.